Hello, this is Kristen with Crossing Timbers Equine. In this video, we're going to go over the tools needed to lunge your horse and how to handle and manage your lunge line and your stick while you're lunging your horse. In my opinion, the lunging of your horse isn't the hard part. It's learning how to manage and handle your equipment when your horse does something unexpected. Now, there's a couple of different things you can use to lunge your horse. This is a 25-foot lunge line. I like to use the 25-foot lunge lines so it gives my horse a bigger circle and they're able to move out and really get a big circle going so that it's not as hard on their joints and on their muscles as a smaller circle. The smaller the circle gets, the harder it is on their body. Just imagine yourself trying to run a really tight, small circle compared to if you have a nice, big circle that you can run. It's a lot easier on your body the bigger the circle. The other thing is I never lunge without a stick. Now you can use a carriage whip like this one. You can use a lunge whip. You can use a flag. Whatever you prefer, whatever works best for you. I've used them all. I've just found over the years that I prefer the carriage whip. Because the carriage whip, it's lightweight, so it doesn't put a lot of strain and weight on my shoulders. It's also nice and short, and all I need it for is just to direct my horse out, direct my horse one way or the other with it. I don't need all that extra line like if I had a lunge whip. So I prefer to use a carriage whip, but you can use whatever you want. I always make sure I've got a stick of some sort with me. That way, if a horse comes in towards me and I can't get them to move off with just my body, I can block them with the stick, as well as directing and extending my arm out to ask them to move out, move over. I have that stick there to assist me in directing the horse and showing him where and when I want him to go. This is Star, so she's going to be our model for today for lunging. The first thing I want to go over today is how to manage your line. If you've got a 25-foot lunge line, this is a lot of equipment to handle when your horse is moving around you in a circle, especially if they're going very fast. Whenever you've got your lunge line, you don't ever want to make a loop out of your line, so you don't want to cross it and make a loop like this. If your horse pulls, that line will pull and get stuck on your hand, and they could drag you along before you can get your hand out of that loop. So you always want to fold your line so that way if something happens, it'll just slide right through and keep sliding and your hand won't get stuck in it. So you always want to fold your line, and you want to keep the leading hand going the direction you're going, and then all the excess to be held in your other hand. So if I'm asking my horse to move tracking left, I'm going to have the leading edge of the line in my left hand and the excess in my right, and vice versa. If they're tracking right, I'm going to have the leading edge of my line in my right hand and my excess folded and put in my left. When my horse is on the circle, you'll see that I'm going to reach behind if I ever need to shorten up my line and pull with my extra hand. So I've got the line in my leading hand and I want to shorten up my line. I'm going to reach back behind. This hand is going to stay steady and I'm going to pull and slide it through my leading hand. So again, if I want to shorten up my line, the line is in my leading hand. I'm going to come back with my hand that's holding my extra line, grab, and slide it through. My leading hand isn't going to be trying to reach and grab forward, and it's not going to be hand over hand to shorten up that line. I'm going to use my hand holding the excess to shorten it up and pull it through. One trick that I like to tell people to do is if you have any sort of a rolly chair, a kitchen table chair, an office chair that has wheels on it, you can attach the line to it, kick it out, and then, ooh, good girl, attach the line to your chair, kick it out, and then bring it in and train your hands to pull from behind that leading hand instead of trying to go hand over hand or to reach forward and grab it to shorten it up. So we're going to ask Star to just go on a little, just go on a little circle, and I'll show you how I use my line to shorten up and how I hold my stick. My stick is always going to be in the hand that I have my excess line in, and I always hold it back behind me. I don't want that stick always constantly out and pushing and driving her forward. I only want to bring it out if need be to push her forward or move her out, and then let it come rest back behind me so it's not always there and pushing. If the stick is always there, it ceases to mean anything, and you're going to have to get bigger and louder with that stick for the horse to respond. So if I keep it back behind and bring it out when need be, all I have to do is a little turn, show that stick, and usually that gets a response. So let's get Star out on the line, and we'll go over handling our line and our stick a little bit. Good girl. Ooh. So I've got her set up so that she's tracking to the left. So I'm going to hold the leading end of my line in my left hand with my excess in my right hand. I'm going to point, give her a cluck, and ask her to walk forward. As she goes around me, I'm going to let the line slide through my fingers so that she can take a bigger circle if she wants to. If I let that line slide too much and it's dragging on the ground like it is right here, then I'm going to reach back behind, slide it through, and shorten it up. So again, if that line gets too long and it's dragging on the ground, I'm going to reach behind with my hand holding the extra and shorten it up. And come back and shorten it up. Now if I want her to move out on the circle, I'm going to push my stick towards her bum, give her a cluck, kind of wave my stick, and ask her to step out on that circle. I can also use my stick out. Good girl. I'm also going to use my stick when I ask her to change directions. So when I ask her to change, my hands are going to need to change. My left hand is going to become the hand holding my stick in the excess, and my right hand is going to become my leading hand. So I'm going to put my stick and my excess in my left hand, bring my right hand across and slide down, get her nose to turn. Just hold that stick out to block that forward momentum if need be. She was distracted looking out the gate, so I put that stick in front of her to block her motion so then she could turn and go the other direction. So now we're tracking right. I've got the leading line in my right hand. Nope. See right there, she wanted to stop and she wanted to change directions. I just pushed the stick out towards her butt, gave her a cluck, and asked her to keep walking in the same direction. I hadn't asked her to change directions yet, so it wasn't the time and place for it. When asking the horse to change directions, I'm going to go over that again. So I've got my excess line and my stick in my left hand. I'm going to put them in my right. My left hand will become my leading hand. So I'm going to run my hand down that line, turn and point, and you can see she changes much better going right to left. So as soon as she saw my hand running down that line, she started to change and come around to that and go the other direction. So one more time, I've got my stick in my line in my right hand. I'm going to put my stick in my line in my left hand. I'm going to run my right hand down the line. Out, out, out. See there, she got a little close to my circle. She had room. She's been getting progressively closer and closer. But she really turned into me right there. No. So right there, I used my left hand to shorten that line up so that I could get a hold of her to stop her from changing directions. As you see, I have a very clear cue when I ask to change directions. So there was no cue in there at all that gave any indication that I wanted her to change. She just thought it would be a good idea to go the other way. Walk up. And right there again, she keeps wanting to go the other direction today. So I block with the stick, and I use my hand holding the excess to shorten that line so I could stop her nose from turning and use that stick to block her motion. When I want my horses to stop, I'm going to bring my hands and my stick into my chest, stop my feet. Good girl. And that's their cue to stop. I'm stopping all of my motion. I'm stopping any driving with my stick, any leading with my hand, even though I'm not leading out here and leading. Good girl. Having my hand out here is asking her to continue to walk. So when I bring myself in, I'm stopping my motion. So I'm asking her to stop her motion as well. When I'm ready to ask her to go again, I'm going to point, give a little cluck if need be, and ask her to walk out. Now it's very important to remember while you're lunging that you stay in line with their drive line, which is about the point of hip. You don't want to be too far back. Walk up, mama. You don't want to be too far back because see now when I'm trying to stay back behind her bum and drive her forward, I'm walking a really big circle. And you can see how she's almost leading me around the circle instead of me coming back to that point of hip and her walking around me. When you lunge, you want to imagine a wheel, or you could imagine a donut, anything that's circle and that has a center to it. You're the center of that wheel, and she is the outside circumference of that wheel. So you stay in the middle, and she goes around you on the outside. If I get too far in front, that's going to stop their forward motion. Good girl. And sometimes, like right there, make them change directions. So if you have a horse that keeps wanting to change and wanting to change and wanting to change, just check your position. It may not be you. It may be you. You may be too far forward, and you're giving that horse mixed signals as to whether you want them to keep going forward or if you want them to change. Good girl. So back yourself up a little bit. Make a triangle from the line on their halter to their point of hip. And stay right back behind and keep yourself in the center of that circle. Now, if I want her to move out and make a bigger circle, the first thing I'm going to do is point my stick towards her hip, and I'm going to ask her to move out, letting that line slide through my hand. If she doesn't take that, I'm going to step into her circle. I'm going to step into her bubble. And I gave her just a tiny little tap on her bum. Walk. Good girl. Out. That's a girl. Much better. To ask her to step out. Now she stepped up into the trot. That's okay. I gave her a little tap on the bum, but she came down immediately when I asked her to. So now I'm going to ask her to move out again. Out. Better. Good girl. Out. out, up, walk. Good girl. And shorten that line up because she came in right there at the end. I never want to have my line dragging on the ground. That's a personal preference of mine. I feel it's dangerous for the horses. It's dangerous for us as humans, because if they go to turn and change directions really quick, they could get their feet tangled up and caught up in your line, and then they're in trouble and you could be in trouble. So I always like to make sure I keep my line up and out of the ground. Walk up. Good girl.